All right, welcome back. Today we're diving into a massive topic that fundamentally reshaped the globe, World War II. Raging from 1939 to 1945, grasping the intricate how and why of this colossal conflict is absolutely key to understanding the modern world we navigate today. So let's get right into the explainer.
Okay, let's dive into this. Calling this the largest conflict in human history? Yeah, that's not just some exaggeration. I mean, we are looking at a war that mobilized over 100 million military personnel globally. It wasn't just militaries fighting on distant battlefields, Entire societies, entire economies were completely thrown into a struggle that altered human destiny. The scale of the mobilization and the devastation that followed honestly eclipsed anything humanity had ever recorded before. To make sense of this massive 6-year span, we're breaking this explainer down into 5 clear chapters: the road to global war, fronts and turning points, the human experience, technology and surrender, and finally, a changed world. Let's jump right in.
Chapter 1. The Road to Global War.
Let's move to our timeline and see how this all builds up. The seeds of the Second World War were actually planted right at the bitter end of the first one. The 1919 Treaty of Versailles concluded World War I, but it left these deep, lingering resentments and crippling economic reparations all across Europe. Fast forward a bit to 1929, when a severe economic depression just shattered markets worldwide. That desperate, volatile climate, well, it became the perfect incubator for authoritarian governments with very aggressive expansionist ambitions to rise up in the 1930s. The final domino fell in September 1939 when Germany invaded Poland, drawing Britain and France into a mutual defense pact and officially igniting a global war.
Moving right along to Chapter 2, Fronts and Turning Points.
So, unlike previous regional wars, this was a logistical behemoth. We're talking about a conflict fought across vastly different terrains, all at the exact same time. Over in Europe, massive land armies clashed for continental control on the brutally unforgiving Western and Eastern fronts. But meanwhile, the Pacific Theater demanded this immense naval and island-hopping strategy across thousands of miles of open ocean. Oh, and this was all happening concurrently with vital tank campaigns sweeping across the arid deserts of North Africa. Every single one of these environments demanded entirely different military tactics, specialized equipment, and totally distinct strategic planning.
Now, within these vast theaters, specific clashes really flipped the script. The Battle of Britain halted a looming land invasion by securing the skies through sheer aerial resilience. Over in Russia, Stalingrad bled the German army dry in freezing urban combat, permanently reversing their momentum on the Eastern Front. In the Pacific, Midway crippled the Japanese naval fleet in a stunning, intelligence-driven ambush. We also saw the turning point of El Alamein in North Africa, and of course the monumental Normandy landings on D-Day, which breached Hitler's heavily fortified Atlantic Wall to liberate Western Europe. Think of these like giant ripple effects. Each of these massive, specific battles fundamentally shifted the entire trajectory of the war.
Chapter 3. The Human Experience.
This is absolutely crucial to understand. This was truly a total war. And what that means is it was lived and breathed by civilians every single day. Entire societies had to drastically adapt just to survive. Daily life on the home front meant incredibly strict rationing of vital things like food, fuel, clothing. Children faced these harrowing, massive evacuations from heavily targeted industrial cities. Meanwhile, domestic industry pivoted entirely to wartime production. And this massive labor shortage opened doors for millions of women to step into vital new roles in factories and military support, which permanently shifted societal norms and laid a lot of the groundwork for future civil rights movements. The war literally demanded absolute mobilization from everyone.
Now, amidst the chaos of the war occurred one of history's darkest chapters. We define the Holocaust as the systematic persecution and murder of millions of Jews and other targeted groups by Nazi Germany. We present this solemn definition objectively here, focusing entirely on remembrance. Grasping this devastating human impact is just a necessary, sobering reminder of the paramount importance of preventing hatred and genocide in our world.
Chapter 4. Technology and Surrender. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that the scientific advancements happening behind closed doors were just as critical as the frontline fighting. The leap in technology during these 6 years was absolutely staggering. We saw the rapid refinement of radar offering crucial early warnings that saved countless lives. Then there was the sheer mathematical genius of the codebreakers, like the folks cracking the Enigma machine at Bletchley Park, working tirelessly to intercept classified enemy intelligence.
Combined with the rapid evolution of heavy tanks, jet aircraft, and sonar in naval warfare, this was a relentless industrial race against time that fundamentally changed the very nature of warfare forever.
So, how does a conflict this massive actually end? Well, the conclusion happened with incredible, rapid momentum. The fighting first came to an end in Europe with Germany's unconditional surrender in May of 1945. This was very shortly followed by a devastating technological peak, the deployment of 2 atomic bombs over the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which stood as a major factor in forcing a close to the Pacific conflict. And just days later, Japan's formal surrender officially brought this sprawling, devastating global nightmare to a halt.
And that brings us to our final chapter, A Changed World.
So, the crucial point is the realization of the sheer, incomprehensible scale of the global casualties. When the dust settled, the human losses were entirely unprecedented. We're looking at estimates ranging from 70 to 85 million dead globally. And we aren't just talking about historical statistics in a textbook here, right? We're talking about entire communities completely erased, families permanently fractured, and a whole generation fundamentally scarred. It really forces us to pause and deeply reflect on the war's true, lasting cost.
And this brilliantly illustrates a truly grim reality of modern warfare, the disproportionate toll on non-combatants. With civilian losses accounting for an estimated 65% of total global casualties, the data clearly shows that this war did not stay on the battlefield, not even close. It was brought directly into the homes, the streets, and the cities of everyday innocent people across the globe, fundamentally blurring the lines between military and civilian targets.
You know, the end of the fighting was really just the dawn of a highly complex new era. The aftermath immediately planted the seeds for the world order that we navigate today. Massive, unprecedented refugee crises demanded urgent global attention, which ultimately led to the creation of the United Nations, an institution designed specifically to foster diplomacy and prevent future global catastrophes. But simultaneously, new ideological divides triggered the decades-long Cold War. Plus, the geopolitical power vacuum really accelerated global decolonization as former empires weakened. So 1945 didn't just end a war, it completely reset the international board.
Which brings us to a final thought I want to leave you with today. How can we actually apply the brutal lessons of World War II and the creation of institutions like the UN to protect human rights and ensure global peace today? It's a massive, provocative question for sure, but it's exactly why learning this history matters so much. It's about looking at our past to understand the absolutely critical need for diplomacy and international cooperation in our future. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep asking those big questions, keep seeking out the history that shapes us, and I'll see you on the next one.